The Barbarian has been my absolute favorite class in any Diablo game, and Diablo 4 is no exception. More specifically, the spin to win Barbarian. There is absolutely nothing like spinning through hordes of enemies just with the click of a mouse button, and spin to win is absolutely amazing. And of course, I'm talking about the Whirlwind Barbarian. Right now, there are lots and lots of Barbarian guides, spin to win guides for Diablo 4. A lot of them are preference, but we seem to have a very generic build starting to take shape. Now, of course, the build will get tweaked and changed over time as we get better on the game, as we gain a better understanding of some of the synergies of the skills. But right now, we seem to have a very good foundation and a very good baseline guide for the Whirlwind Barbarian build. So today, I want to talk a little bit about Diablo 4 Planner. Now, I found this D4 Planner. This is going to be under d4planner.io. And this is the Barbarian Skill Planner, which is very, very nice. This allows us to put together a plan of the legendaries of our choosing for the best synergies for the Whirlwind Barbarian. And that way we can not only keep an eye out in-game for these items, these affixes, but also this is a really good way to figure out what we still need and play around with the builds even before the game launches and even after. So this I found just by browsing around online. As I mentioned, this is d4planner.io. And this is a skill tree, which is very, very nice. It is a skill planner. And right now I want to talk a little bit more about this. And you can play around with this for yourself as well. Now, since this is going to be the Barbarian build spin to win, let's start over with some of the skills. Now, starting at the top with basic skills. One of the best things that I've found to work really well is this lunging strike. I know there are lots of videos talking about Frenzy, stacking Frenzy all the way, but in my testing from my gameplay, and speaking of gameplay, unfortunately I don't have a lot of gameplay recorded. I did not get to play as many hours as I wanted. I know some people have played hundreds of hours during the beta test because they get special access. I am not one of those, so I am working with what I have. But nonetheless, this is very good information, and I feel like this will be very, very useful because you can do this for any single class. As I mentioned before, I am doing this for the Barb because that is what I'm going to play once the game officially launches. So for starting out with basic skills, one of the better things, in my opinion, is this lunging strike. Lunge forward, strike an enemy for 30% damage. And I wanted to zoom in so you could see this on mobile. Lunging strike is actually really good as a gap closer, and this is actually part of the basic skills. I've also tried bash. I really enjoyed bash, although it's a little bit slower, and I feel like frenzy has been the slowest because it falls off, and it does take some time to stack up. The other option is Flay. You can use Flay to generate some resource, so that will work as well. But for the best mobility options, I feel like lunging strike is very, very good as a gap closer. Now, as we come down, all I did was I put 1 point in lunging strike, I put 1 point in enhanced lunging strike, and then 1 point in battle lunging strike. Lunging strike also inflicts 20% bleed damage, not a ton, but as a gap closer, that's just additional bleed damage, which is very nice. And that fills out our basic skills and fills up our bloodline right down to the core skills. Now, looking at the core skills, of course, we are going to go for 5 out of 5 in Whirlwind. And Whirlwind, in my opinion, is the absolute best Barbarian skill. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put 5 points into Whirlwind, 1 point into Enhanced Whirlwind. And these are very, very simple. You left click to assign, right click to deassign, deselect. So this is very simple. And then I went for Violent Whirlwind because after using Whirlwind for 2 seconds, Whirlwind deals 30% increased damage until canceled. So the idea here is just to continuously channel Whirlwind. And that rounds out our core skills right here. Now, of course, as you could see right here, I am 52 out of 58 skills available. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room for preference. And that actually leaves us some room to take skills like Endless Fury. Basic skills generate 5% more fury when using two-handed weapons. That might help a lot. And basic skills are right up here. And with lunging strike being a nice gap closer, that'll generate some extra fury. So we have a few points to play around with if we wanted to. But for right now, I'm going to leave this off. And I'm going to experiment once I get into the game. Once the game launches, once early access launches, because I did pre-order the game, That is going to be really cool. So talking about core skills, we got our bloodline filled down all the way to defensive skills. Now the defensive skill tree here is up to personal interpretation, up to personal flavor, whatever you like. Rallying Cry is really good for increasing the movement speed and resource regeneration. And then we can talent into Enhanced Rallying Cry as well, which grants us Unstoppable, which is very good. We may not necessarily need that with Whirlwind, so I'll have to experiment with that a little bit. And then a Tactical Rallying Cry on top of that generates 20% Fury and grants an additional 20% resource regeneration. So Tactical Rallying Cry is a must because we are spinning to win here. We are using lots of Fury, so we definitely need this Tactical Rallying Cry, and that's why the Enhanced Rallying Cry will come in handy. The rest is up to you. You can pick and choose whatever you like. I've seen people going for Iron Skin. Iron Skin will be very, very good later on as we progress in difficulty. As I've mentioned, I've left a few points off just to experiment further. Filling the bloodline down to brawling skills, what I've chosen to talent into is Warcry and also Leap. Now I know there are lots of different opinions here. You also have Charge, so this you can experiment on your own. And I know lots of people have different preferences on how they want to build it. Swiftness is also very, very good, and it might be a very good thing to take. Swiftness just for some extra movement speed. Unfortunately, it's down to brawling skills. We're going to need to wait a few levels on this. But Warcry is very good. It increases our damage by 15% for 6.5 seconds and nearby allies, so this is absolutely a must for parties. And then Enhanced Warcry grants us Berserking for 4 seconds. The power Warcry, if at least 6 enemies are nearby, when you Warcry, the damage bonus is increased by an additional 10%, so you want to do this in the middle of mobs or nearby mobs. And then my personal favorite is Leap. I cannot play Barbarian without Leap. I feel like the Barbarian is not a Barbarian without Leap. I know there are lots of builds with different shouts and different cries, but for me personally, I really, really enjoy Leap. Leap is an amazing gap closer. It can also get you out of some sticky situations that you don't want to be in. And we are going down the Power Leap. We are going to be taking Power Leap. If Leap damages at least one enemy, gain 40 Fury. So this is absolutely amazing. I feel like this is a must. Coming down to the Weapon Mastery. Weapon Mastery, not a whole lot going on here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talent 3 points into Pit Fighter. We deal 9% increased damage to close enemies, which is going to help a lot, 9% increased damage. And then we have 9% increased critical strike chance against immobilized, stunned, or slowed enemies. One thing I did not want to forget to mention is at level 15 on the Barbarian, we actually get this technique skill. And this actually we did not have access to during the beta. I believe we could not venture that far outside of the map. But at level 15, this is what we get. This is an expertise skill. So this can actually be found on d4builds.gg, and that is going to be right there so you can see that. And if you scroll down under technique, this skill is unlocked on the Barbarian at level 15. Now what this does is 20% of direct damage you deal is inflicted as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. That is going to be huge. That is why we talented into a few of those different bleeds. And then of course bleeding enemies are crowd controlled, and crowd control does more damage. So I wanted to do this post edit insert just for clarity. That is going to help out with Hamstring. Next talent we're going to be taking is Hamstring. Your bleeding effects slow enemies by 10%. And then Cut to the Bone will give us 18% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And as I've mentioned before, this is all up to preference. One of the things I did not touch on is Aggressive Resistance. Gain 9% damage reduction while berserking. This is going to be under brawling skills. And then what I've done was I've gone into Prolific Fury. While berserking, Fury generation is increased by 18%. So that is Weapon Mastery. Coming down to the ultimates. Now, of course, ultimate skills, Wrath of the Berserker. Explode into rage, knocking back surrounding enemies, and gaining berserking and unstoppable for 5 seconds. For the next 10 seconds, dealing direct damage with basic skills, grants berserking for 5 seconds. Now, coming back up to the basic skills. Basic skills is a lunging strike, of course, and then our core skill is Whirlwind. So that is going to be really good, right? That'll extend berserking right there. Then we're going to come down to Prime Wrath of the Berserker. While Wrath of the Berserker is active, gain 20% movement speed and increased Fury regeneration. And then we're going to go into Supreme Wrath of the Berserker. While Wrath of the Berserker is active, every 50 Fury you spend increases Berserk's bonus damage by 25%. Looking over at Tempered Fury, increases your maximum Fury by 9. We got 3 points in that. And then we are trying to get down to Invigorating Fury. Heals for 9% of our maximum life for each 100 Fury spent. So this is the way that I'm going to be going down. For key passives, I went down into Unbridled Rage. Core skills deal 135% increased damage, but cost 100% more Fury. This is exactly why we have been talenting into Fury Regeneration. And by the way, Whirlwind is our core skill. If we go back up to the core skills, Whirlwind is under core skills, so that'll do a lot more damage, and it'll take a lot more resources, of course. This is why we've talented into Fury Generation. I've also put 3 points into Heavy-Handed. While using two-handed weapons, you deal 15% increased critical strike damage. So this is actually pretty good. Coming back to one of the skills that I missed under Weapon Mastery. Thick Skin. Each time you take direct damage, you gain 1% base life as Fortify. And this will actually help us stay alive. Now, I know there are lots of points here, lots of skills, and this is all open to interpretation. We have some skills to play around with. We can also put a few points, take out a few points. We also have a few points left, and that you can use as preference. We'll experiment as the game opens up, and we'll see what the synergies are like with these skills. Now, right up here to the left of the skill tree, I want to go over this. This is where you pick your aspects. You can actually type in the aspect you are looking for, and there are lots to choose from. And I've found this build thanks to the magic of YouTube. Now, this actually feels like it works out really well. For the first aspect, we are going to be using aspect of Disobedience. You gain increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, and that, of course, stacks up to 25 to 50%. That is the way I'm reading that. And then it actually tells you where it unlocks. Unlocks by completing Halls of the Damned. And that is actually really good, so we can go right to it when we get to the appropriate level and get it. And working our way right down the list, next one is going to be Aspect of the Crowned Sage. This will actually heal us for 2.5 life per second for each close enemy, up to 50 life per second. So this is going to be very good with our Whirlwind Barbarian build. Working our way right down to the third one, Aspect of the Ancestral Echoes. Lucky hit. Damaging enemies with Leap, Upheaval, or Whirlwind has up to a 40 to 50% chance to summon an ancient to perform the same skill. It can only happen once every 5 seconds, and this will literally spawn an ancient to Whirlwind and help us as well. So this is gonna be really, really nice. Iron Blood aspect is the next one. Gain 2 to 4% damage reduction for each nearby bleeding enemy, up to 10 to 20% maximum. And then of course it tells us where we can unlock it. Aspect of the Grasping Whirlwind is what we're really going to be looking for right off the bat. Whirlwind periodically pulls enemies to you. This will help to gather mobs, of course, for increased damage, right? Increased damage output. The more mobs that we are whirlwinding through, the better the damage, the faster we kill them. That's going to be really nice. Next one on the list is Aspect of the Limitless Rage. Each point of fury you generate while at maximum fury grants the next core skill a lot more increased damage, up to 60 to 120%, right? Now we are getting down to the weapon slots. If you may or may not know, the Barbarian does have 4 weapon slots available. He carries all 4 weapons with him. Moving over to the next weapon, Aspect of the Expectant. Attacking enemies with basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill, which is going to be our Whirlwind, by 5 to 10%, up to 50%. So all of these aspects are starting to synergize together very nicely. Skull Breaker's aspect is the next weapon. Stunning a bleeding enemy deals 22 to 40% of their total bleeding amount to them as physical damage. Aspect of the Dire Whirlwind. Whirlwind's critical strike chance is increased by plus 5 to 10% for each second it is channeled. That is going to be really, really good. That's one of the things I'm going to be looking for. And then, of course, you can unlock this by completing the ground hold in Skullglin. Those are the weapons. Let's talk about the last 3 aspects on the right-hand side here. And these you can mix and match, but right now, this is what I found to be the most synergetic. Aspect of Retribution. Distant enemies have 15% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when they hit you. you deal 30 to 50% increased damage to stunned enemies. There may be something a little bit better fitting in this slot. Time will tell as the game goes on and as more legendaries are found in the game. Aspect of the Umbral, restore 1 to 4 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. And then the last one is Mother's Embrace. That is a unique ring. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 20 to 40% of the resource cost is refunded. So there's a little bit of RNG there. But this looks like that will round out all of the aspects. Of course, this will take some time to get all of these aspects out and find them all in game. But this is going for more of an end game build. And this is the build that I'm going to be going down. This is what I'm going to be shooting for. And as I mentioned, I do have a few more points to distribute. And we'll figure out as we go along. One of the possibilities might be this Imposing Presence, gain 5% more additional life. Maybe we'll put a couple of points in there. And as we play, we'll mix and match different skills. We'll try them out together. And then, of course, we're going to do a play along together with some calm commentary. Stay tuned for that when the game launches with early access. When I get into the early access, we're definitely going to start a Barbarian together, and we're going to work our way down this Whirlwind tree. So as I've mentioned through this video, this is d4planner.io. If you don't know, very, very good, helpful resource. You can also use this for any other class, and then you can also save this, and you can actually copy the link, and the link will reload as you paste it into the bar. So I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know in the comments below what class you are planning to play and what your play style is. I look forward to seeing you in game. Do me a huge favor, hit the like and the subscribe, and for more BearCozy videos, check out the top right.